morning, everybody. I hope you're all there. I hope you can all hear me. Today, I'm going to try and start the webinar on my own. I do have my wonderful support, Jay Ant, in the background, but I'm going to try and see what we can do. So while we're waiting, in a couple of minutes before we start, let me just make sure that that's all okay. Yes, it is. I want to thank a few more people. I think it's really important to celebrate great acts of kindness. And I just want to show you my earrings. I don't know if you can see those. These are by my lovely friend Fei Lu, who bought these for me on my 40th birthday when he said to me I shouldn't ever have to borrow pieces of jewellery. So, your meeting should start. No, it's done. So they are by him. So I'm very, very grateful. And I can't wait when this is all over. And my lovely friend Faye and I will be reunited. In the meantime, there are a couple of other people I would like to thank as well. My dear colleague, Eric Ems, he actually contacted me after my last webinar and gave me lots of feedback and support. And I was very, very grateful for that. But also, I don't know if you know, I talk about it a little bit, but years ago when I first did my gemology, I was very honoured that I won this, which was the Anderson Award Medal. And it was at the time for the highest mark internationally for my preliminary paper. Now, it's still something that means a lot to me, but I have to really stand by this. So for that reason, I think that continual professional development is really important. So I have to stand by the honour of having this and keep learning and keep growing. So I'm incredibly grateful for the feedback that I get from other esteemed colleagues. So we'll start in a few minutes. I'm going to get ready now. Let me just start to share my slides and make sure this all works okay. There we go. I'm going to have to put my glasses on, folks. Where are they? They're there. Okay, and now. There we go. I think that's how it should look. And we go down here, we do start slides. This is where it goes black, no worry. And then we do use slideshow. Now, I think that means that we are good to go, but I will find out. Phil will appear if this isn't working. So let's make sure we're starting. It's 11 o'clock, so let's make a start. Well, good morning to you all, and thank you so much for joining me again today. Today, I just really wanted to have a little bit of a light-hearted, just more of an informal session. We've been in a lot of training, a lot of development, and in fact, storytelling is really, really important. It's something I've been learning about from other webinars as well. So I thought we'd take the theme of a royal celebration. I thought we'd add the story about rainbow gems and the royal rainbow gems. Rainbow gems has been developing a lot more. The CMJ, we're going to contact all of the suppliers and make sure that everybody and the suppliers can catalogue their jewellery per gemstone and send details to us. Great conversations with Howard from Natinger. He's already done a lot of this work, but we're going to be sharing that with everybody. So I would encourage anybody who's out there who's a supplier, please contact myself. I'm very much wanting to be a conduit to get this story out there. I'm also going to tell the story of the most famous diamond, or the largest diamond ever found, the Cullinan diamond. And then I'm also going to tell the story. I've been involved in the past with the Asher diamond and the Asher family. And again, I want to talk about how that learns and how that evolves. And in fact, there is a picture of me in a tiara, which was the first day I met Mike Asher. And I was this is the replica of a royal Asher crown. So a girl can have delusions of grandeur. So rainbow gems, royal rainbow gems. Well, let's go through the colours of the rainbow. And I think we have to, of course, start with ruby. And I remember this from when I was a little girl and Sarah Ferguson married Prince Andrew. And here she is with her engagement ring. It was a stunning Burmese ruby. She chose it because it was big and it was red and it was unconventional in the setting that they had. And I think that was very much representative of her personality and their union. And many years later, we see her daughter, so a Padparadashka sapphire. Now, this is stretching it a little bit to say this is on the orange, but certainly this flashes a pink orange, which is incredibly rare in a sapphire. And I thought this was beautiful that her fiance really recognised the rarity and the uniqueness of this and how he really felt that that matched his fiance. Again, a lovely story about the personal response that we all have to a gemstone. Now, gold or yellow, it had to really be the Welsh gold that has been used for royal wedding rings for many years. So we've got the nugget of Welsh gold that was first found at the Clogau St David's mine in North Wales. The original nugget created wedding rings for the Queen Mother, for the Queen, for Princess Margaret. You've got Princess Diana and Princess Anne there. Now, of course, that was exhausted. So in 1981, subsequent wedding rings have been made from another nugget that was a gift from the Royal British Legion. Emeralds, and I also included turquoise. I love how the Queen really tells stories with the jewellery that she and the gemstones that she is wearing. So of course we saw her in her wonderful address to the nation with the brooch of the turquoise, which is, of course is healing, as well as forget-me-nots. But here she is wearing the most incredible tiara. It's the Vladimir tiara. It was created originally in about 1890. You'll recognise it because it is also hung with pearls, but it also does have 15 of these Cambridge emeralds that are suspended so they can be removed and changed. Now, this was actually, the frame was remade back in 1988 by Garrard. So wonderful thing that gemstones always outlive their settings, and so they continue to tell a different story. And we are only ever a guardian for them for a fleeting moment in time as they continue to outlive all of us. When it comes to blue, I felt it had to be Princess Diana. And here you see two of her most iconic rings. You've got the sapphire engagement ring, which now Princess Catherine wears, and the aquamarine that we saw Meghan wearing on her wedding day. Now, I hadn't realised, but originally it was Harry who inherited her engagement ring. But when she decided to marry Prince William, felt that it was appropriate that Catherine had the ring, which is lovely. But it just shows you again the legacies, and it's lovely to see these rings being worn by the next generation. Now, indigo we associated with tanzanite in the previous training, and you can see here, of course, a far more modern gemstone, but this is an example which was actually done by the crown jewellers G. Collins, and this was a gift, I understand, from Prince William to Princess Catherine, and here she is wearing beautiful tanzanite suite of jewellery. But the violet, again, belongs to the Queen. The suite on the right is the Kent demi-parure, so it's not a full parure because it doesn't have a tiara, but this is a magnificent suite of jewellery. And on the left, you see the Queen wearing a part of it, which is the brooch. But she has worn these gemstones very, very significantly. So she's either worn them in February, when she's the birthstone, or she's worn them for times of memorial. So, you know, the purple is a colour we associate with mourning. So again, she wears this really, really appropriately. A wonderful, savvy lady. So let's take you on a journey for the Cullinan diamond, which we see in the crown jewels. And this is the largest diamond ever found. I mean, can you imagine? In 1905, it was named after the then chairman of the mine from which it came from, which was the Premier Mine, and it weighed 3,106 carats. Now, I have a replica of it. I'm just going to, you know what, I'm going to try this. Let's just do this. If we just stop sharing for the moment, and you can see me. So, can you imagine that? Can you see it's about the size of my fist? It's absolutely incredible. But also, if you look, it's got this cleaved surface. So potentially it could have been a lot bigger originally. It lent itself to 9 major stones and 96 smaller ones. And again, I've got the replicas of those. Now, that is the largest, well, not the one, but it is the largest flawless diamond in the world, the Great Star of Africa. That's what we see in the scepter. And then you've got the Lesser Star of Africa, and that's what we see in the crown. I mean, look at the size of those. They're just incredible. But to think that they came from here, I actually can't see how they all fit in. I think it's an incredible act of cutting that the yield was just incredible. Let's go back to the... So here we go, let's go back to them. So they were cut by Joseph Asher. No, we're not moving. Let's see what we're doing. There we go. So Joseph Asher, can you imagine, well over 100 years ago, so we don't have the technology that we have today, but after months and months of looking at the stone, and I hadn't realised until I met Mike Asher and went through the archives of the Asher Museum, I didn't realise that it actually was quite heavily flawed. It had a lot of inclusions. So a lot of the skill was working out where those inclusions were and how by the cutting they could be avoided and removed. But when they went to replace the original incision to cleave the stone, it actually needed brand new equipment. It was larger, it was so much bigger than any other stone that had been cut before. So specially created tools had to be made. It was first cleaved successfully in 1908, although the first tool broke and had to be replaced. Now, you read several books on this and they'll all say, oh, that Joseph Asher passed out afterwards. I'm sure it was a massive weight of responsibility, but I understand from Mike it's a slightly different story. And that's due to, he did sort of pass out, but it was due to the copious amounts of champagne that were shared afterwards at the successful cleaving. I think, having known the Ashers a bit, I think that the latter is the story I'll go along with. So here you go, you can see the stone itself in its rough state and all the other gemstones that it lends itself to. It was actually brought over by a decoy. There was quite a lot of theatre done to its transportation, whereas in reality it was either posted or brought along personally. And in this case, it was Joseph who brought it over by public ferry. Presented to Edward VII on his 66th birthday as a peace gift at the end of the Boer War. And it was the king that chose the Asher Company and its chief cutter, Joseph, to cut the diamond. The family were already known, but it was an incredible honour. So here we go, the two that I've shown you, the Great Star of Africa, 530 carats, and the Stecken Star of Africa, 317. I mean, that alone is heavy, and the poor Queen having to wear this incredible crown. But they are absolutely stunning. And of course, you can go and see them at the Tower of London. When I was studying my gemology, I used to go there quite a bit, and there was a conveyor belt that used to take you round and round. And eventually one of the guards came up to me and said, what on earth are you doing? But I just kept going. I wanted to look at these so many times. They were lovely and very understanding of a young gemology student. You've also got 3 and 4, which are known as Granny's chips. And you can see here, if I hold them up, there's an example of them. I mean, that's quite an important, quite an impressive brooch. So number 3 is the Lesser Star of Africa, a 94 carat pair, and 4 is the square. They previously were in a crown, but now worn together as a brooch. And this was the Queen's Golden Jubilee, and you do see her wearing these at significant moments. Cullinan's 5, 6, 7 and 8, you've got a heart shape, which is set into a brooch, and you've got the oblong, which is 8, which is also set into a brooch. I love these, very contemporary Edwardian, set in platinum, these beautiful, beautiful surmounts. 6 and 7 are little oblongs, not little, are oblongs like this, and you'll see them suspended, not only from these brooches, but from other pieces of jewellery as well. And then 9 is a pear-shaped platinum ring over 4 carats. Now, as I say, the overall yield was over 34%, and there's 9 carats of other unpolished fragments as well. And the other pieces were made into a long chain, a long necklace, so presented to Queen Mary. Now, the long chain apparently is not a favourite piece by the Queen. She doesn't wear it in public because it gets in the soup. I'd love to have that problem, I really would. But the Queen was instrumental in sharing this story, and in 1958 she and Prince Philip made a state visit to the Netherlands, and it was at this time that we first heard the story about the brooch being called Granny's Chips. And it's lovely because she unpinned the brooch and handed it to Joseph's nephew, who was Louis, who at the time, sort of aging, slightly losing his sight, and he was deeply moved by being able to hold the stones after so many years. So meet this family, because this is an incredible story. We've got, and I didn't get this right, Joseph Isaac, the Joseph in the third picture is the Joseph that we know for cutting the Cullinan, Louis and Joop, 4th generation, Joop and Edward, 5th generation, and Edward you'll know, amazing gentleman, really involved in a lot of corporate social responsibility work, and then the 6th generation, Lita and Mike. Now, the Asher family are amazing because they are the people that first patented a cut of a stone. And this was Joseph Asher, and this was the stunning Asher that we know, which was painted in 1902. It's a very dramatic cut stone. So it's symmetrical, got a very tall table, steep pavilion with these very deeply cut corners. Now, the patent was sadly lost in the Second World War, but the name lives on. But an Asher cut, and I hadn't really appreciated this, an Asher cut is a generic cut now. It's not necessarily cut by the family. But of course, it was incredibly, desired and favourable cut. And it's very much, you see a lot in the 1920s. But there's a very famous Asher cut that belonged to Elizabeth Taylor, the Krupp diamond. 33 carats, D, internally flawless. And she talks amazingly about these gemstones. When I look deep in the Asher cuts, which are so complete and ravishing, are like steps that lead into eternity and beyond, with its sparks of red and white and blue and purple and on and on and on, really it sort of hums with its own beatic life. To me, the diamond says, I want to share my chemistry, my magic with you. And this was very much one of her favourite pieces. Now, I was very honoured to actually go over and make the tour of the Asher building, the Asher factory. And this building was incredible. It was first commissioned in 1906. It's now a state monument. An amazing architect, Gerrit van Arkel. And if you look in the surrounding area, the streets are named after gemstones. It's a real important part of the community. And it's an important part of the Netherlands, really. And it's still the company head office. But the Second World War had an incredible impact on the company. As you can imagine, Jewish family, and of the 500 polishers that were there, only 15 returned. And in the Battle of the Netherlands, the Nazis seized all of the diamonds. And the patent that I talked about for the Asher cut, that expired. So it's a tragic part of the company's history. But the fourth generation, Joop and Louis, were absolutely determined to rebuild the company, and they stayed in Amsterdam instead of relocating to New York or Antwerp. And at dark times, at difficult times, it's inspiring to know that that this is a wonderful story of rebuilding. And how did they rebuild? Well, they were determined to make a new chapter. And the new chapter was for the fifth generation, was the Royal Asher cut. So Edward and Joop worked on for a very long time, worked on calculations and working out how to really improve the performance of this stone. And this diamond had 74 facets. Sorry, I just need some water, folks. I should have had so many cups of tea before we started, sorry. It had 74 facets, again, perfectly symmetrical, high crown and steep pavilion, but significantly 15% of the crystal rough was removed, 15% more was cut away. And as Mike said, an endless pool of mirrors blazing with a kaleidoscope of colour. And here it is. Guys, if you love the Asher cut, wait till you see a Royal Asher. It is phenomenal. The fire and brilliance, the sparkle, that extra break in the pavilion really does enhance the performance. It is absolutely stunning. And of course, everyone will be denoted by inscribed with the logo. But I want to tell you a bit more about the Royal Association. So the royal title has extra significance because this company has a royal title, first bestowed in 1980 by Queen Juliana of the Netherlands. And again, it was offered, it's only ever, has a 20-year cycle. It was offered by Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands. It's more than a royal warrant, as we know. This will only go to a company which has existed for more than 100 years, which has an impeccable reputation, and there can only be one in each sector. And very much they live by the title of being royal in everything that they do. So it's in terms of the integrity, the experience, the ethics, everything. But there's an even lovelier association, and it continues for of course, the Dutch royal family are known as the House of Orange, Van Orange. And Edward presented the Queen in 1990 with a stunning, well, it was 2 oval orange diamonds. She chose the larger, and she then gave it to her son upon his engagement to now Princess Maxima. I know that subsequently they've also found some matching earrings, which were incredibly rare, but incredibly stunning. So here's the family. You may know them. Mike's going to be doing some webinars as well for Jewelry Outlook. So Edward, who's just retired, but I was so privileged to meet him, and I admire the work that he's done for Diamond Ethics over the years. Lita, really creative, does a lot of work out in America, and Mike. So again, let's look at this as a story. And this is really what my involvement was unpicking the parts of this. We've got the status. This company has the honorary company title. The history. Joseph Asher cut the first Cullinan diamond. The first ever patent belonged to this family. And I love that all this family of gemstones that they have all have 74 facets. And again, it's a sign of quality. So not only did the family regenerate the square cut with the royal Asher, but they also created a family of patented cuts. So you've got the square cut in 2001, and 2013 and 15, you've got the round, the cushion, and the oval. And the wonderful thing is, a great simple story, they all have 74 facets like the Cullinan. So here's the round. Gosh. Sorry, everybody. The round, created in 2013, as I say. And again, what they did was Mike looked at the round ring and thought, where can I improve? And it very much felt that the edges were quite severe. So these have been softened by 16 more facets around the crown. They are absolutely, so crown and the pavilion really does make it a very pretty and very feminine cut. Now that facet arrangement has now been applied to an oval, and an oval is one of the most growing popular outlines for a gemstone. Really elegant and very, very flattering when worn. Again, 74 facets. But this has to be my favourite, and it's the cushion. And it is an exact copy of Cullinan number 4, as we can see here. So what an authentic story, as we were looking on today, with an important historical legacy. So it's much softer than its generic counterpart. Again, the 74 facets, but oh, I just love it. I think it's just fantastic. I feel like you're owning a little piece of history when you're wearing one of those. But the Royal Asher to be cut is very, very difficult. Now, as I say, I'm a diamond grader. Cutting is a completely different skill. Only 75 people in the world can polish to the Royal Asher exacting standards, and it takes 3 months of training to really master the Royal Asher cutting. And again, in the sourcing, not every diamond rough is appropriate. You can only do this from an octahedra. So let's talk a bit more. That's the history of Royal Asher. But I wanted to talk about journeys and learning. And I was very fortunate, was like everybody, to use this time to attend and listen to other webinars. And I don't know if you guys are also watching the Jewelry Outlook, but the depth and range and variety of webinars is just phenomenal. And I loved this one. This was last week. This was Ashish Patel in conversation with Anil. It was brilliant, very intelligent thinking and very interesting and inspiring. This is the guy who has done the DPA films. I'd encourage you to go and watch it. It's a little bit out there at times, but it was really good. And what he spoke about was the principles of storytelling. Really important. What is the benefit or improvement to a customer? Think about that in your own storytelling. Entertaining, it's got to go more than just the functionality. What's entertaining and engaging about it? The need for speed and the need for constant connection. My goodness, we're learning that at the moment. And what is the purpose? And I wanted now just to reflect on Asher and look at those 5 principles. Benefits. Here we've got features and benefits. We've got the status, the history, the legacy, and quality. Entertainment. Now, this was something that I considered a great deal when I was thinking about the brand going distributed through retail outlets. So it was encouraging people to think about where you could propose, linking with Amsterdam, with the tulips, linking with the crown jewels. How can you make that a fully way to engage and I say entertain with your customers? And again, this would be personified when you think about our private viewing rooms or online. It was, you know, if you're showing an Asher diamond, serve some Dutch beer, put some tulips around the place, send people some tulips, romance it. It's all about keeping and linking and celebrating the brand. So here, there's so many things. There was the Dutch masters, and I actually went over to Amsterdam and went to the Rijksmuseum and watched and learned about the Dutch masters of light, and realized about the light source and how they highlight, as you can see here, the important focus and contrast with the darkness. So it was important to think about, when presenting Asher, that that was photographed in a similar way. But you've also got so many other connections. You've got getting engaged out there, the beautiful tea lights, all these things you can use to connect and tell the story of the brand. The need for speed. I mean, look, 6,200 followers on Instagram, and they're very popular on Facebook as well, with a lot of really interesting content on there. But connecting. So it was about making that very relevant. So going forward, the point of sale will have all of the replicas of the Cullinan there to show the story and the connection. And of course, you've got wonderful glasses, mugs, all these things, luxurious boxes that really do help emphasize the importance of the brand. You can go over and take a tour. Anybody is really welcome, and it's a fantastic thing to do. Go and meet the family, and really the best way to connect with them. And here is some of the purpose, which I think now more than ever we're wanting as a consumer to understand. Tell us about your credibility, about your authenticity. And here is their corporate social responsibility. And I was amazed at the work that Edward and the rest of the family can continue to this day. So just to tell you a little bit and update you on my own development. So I don't know if you've seen my website, but I have something called Annie's Legacy, which is the story about my grandmother. And I've just recently connected with East Cheshire Hospice. I want to bring this to life again. And I want to make sure that I align either my income or my commission with giving back to charities. I think it's very important. These charities are going to lose out on a lot of income over the foreseeable future. So I think it's very important that we can, if we at all possible, support. The other one, which is very personal because my father has Meniere's disease, is Hearing Dogs for the Deaf. So I'm going to be looking to maybe do a coffee morning for them, virtual support. So all of this needs to be authenticated and authorized, but watch this space because I hope that will be happening going forward. Okay, so that was a real whistle-stop tour. So let's have a look. So guys, let me just see, did there any questions at all that you would like? So I'll leave it a couple of minutes just to see if anybody has any other questions. Other than that, a lot of people have been emailing me, which has been great, and we've been following up afterwards, which has been really lovely. So I've really enjoyed having everybody on there. So, okay, I will finish this now and say thank you very much for joining me. The webinar will be available online, probably later on this afternoon, but thank you again, and I will see you next week.